Hello, I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show is called Bruce on the Loose, which allows me to talk to an array of various people in regards to the schools and also in the community. Today, Kelly Gnap is with us, and she's a supervisor of food service here for the Wadsworth City Schools. And Kelly, how long have you been in that position in Wadsworth?
This is going on my 5th school year already. I can't believe I've already been in the district that long.
Right.
Before Wadsworth, I worked for 2 years at Chippewa local schools,
Right.
As the food service director. So this is altogether my 7th year doing this
right.
job.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on that assignment. And I would imagine you've learned in those 7 years. You've probably picked up quite a few things and techniques. What are some of those things that you have gleaned?
Well, I was kind of lucky coming in 7 years ago. It was right after the Healthy Hungry Kids Act had been passed. So I didn't know much of the old system. So it wasn't as hard for me to come in as a new person and relearn the job, as you might say. I came in with the regulations already in place. So for me, the challenge was definitely trying to figure out the free and reduced program, and then making sure that the commodity program and the commodity food system was being utilized to the best of my ability. I was a chef for Ball State University for 7 years, and so I have worked feeding students for quite a few years now, and the difference between the collegiate level and the K through 12 system is mind-boggling, the difference. So it did take some getting used to, but yeah, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable now with everything that's going on with the school foods.
Quite a challenge. Again, I do tutor kindergartners. We talk about things that they're going to be eating coming up, and chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese and pizza seem to be the top 3. Even my old favorite hot dogs have been kind of put to the back burner, if you will. And it's not easy to go ahead and feed youth today, is it?
Well, the biggest challenge is the whole wheat. Using the 100% whole grains, not only does it add cost to the foods that we're serving, but when the children don't accept it as well, that also is a challenge. But I feel like because the regulations have been in place now for about 7 or 8 years, I do feel that the kids are definitely starting to buy into the program. When you keep offering the same thing over and over, they do get used to it. And we are finding that the kids are accepting the new regulations a lot better at this point in time.
I would imagine it really helps with when the students are home, if they're offered an array of different items. I remember growing up, I really wasn't into fish, but as time has gone on, I really like fish now in various restaurants and prepared at home, and I imagine that really helps you if the parents are willing to offer various things at home.
Absolutely. I try to encourage the parents with our monthly menus. I have a little health tip at the top that says, if you can help incorporate maybe spinach or kale even into your dishes at home, the students at school will accept it a lot easier. So yeah, it is definitely a two-way street between home and school. If the kids aren't getting the same thing at home, it definitely makes it harder to get them to try the things at school that we're trying to offer. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge to make sure that we're both serving the same things.
Right. I think a lot of outside folks looking at Wadsworth would say that we're a very wealthy community. That isn't always. That's the reality. Doesn't make that always apparent, is it?
Well, we definitely are more affluent than other school districts in the state. We're running under 15% right now for the free and reduced program. So in my tenure here at Wadsworth, I have seen a steady decrease in our free and reduced numbers, which also is a factor through the way that the calculations are made every year. It takes into effect, the national average of how many people are unemployed, what the financial health of the whole, country goes into that equation. So every year our numbers are going up for the income as to who's eligible. So it does make it difficult for those who are definitely in need, but right there on the cusp. So we are definitely a healthier financial district than some others in the state for sure.
Okay, how do you go ahead and advertise and promote not only free or reduced, but the lunch program in general? What are some of the things that you do and your head cooks do, maybe?
Sure. We definitely send out information to all the families within the district several times a year. I definitely start with the advertising in the summer, trying to let families know that we do offer breakfast. We, offer the free and reduced meal plans. We can, they can take a look at our website. We have a food services page on the Wadsworth Schools website that they can definitely find every form that we have to give, the menus, the mission of why we're doing what we're doing. It's all listed there on the website. That's usually the best place that I recommend people check.
Now you're kind of a separate entity. Do you have to, at the end of the year, show a profit, or I don't think the board would probably want to dole over thousands of dollars to keep food service afloat, I guess.
Yes, we're actually very lucky here at Wadsworth. I come from predecessors that left a very healthy budget back in the day when you could serve M&Ms in the vending machines. And we've been able to, the people who were there before me, we've all been able to keep our Wadsworth food service running smoothly and profitable. I have been able to increase our profits over the years, which is a great goal of mine to do. But it's a yearly struggle there, since we do not rely on the general fund for our money, when we have repairs that take place, or we had to buy a new van last year for distribution, that definitely can make you cringe a little bit in making sure that we're staying profitable, but we're definitely running in the black, so.
Wonderful. We talked briefly about free and reduced lunch. There seemed to be, especially when I was here at the middle school and high school level, the stigma of those kids being on those programs. What do you try to do to minimize that concern?
Well, 2 years ago, we purchased a new cash register system throughout the district, and the register has made it easy for anybody. All the student does is they enter a PIN number, and their information is confidential. There's nothing stated anywhere what status they're on. They just ring in the register like everybody else does. So unless you're a food service worker, you really don't know what status the children are.
That certainly is a step in the right direction. I know before it was kind of an impediment for those students to take advantage of the system.
Sure.
Kelly, could you give us a brief overview of how each cafeteria, and again, you just don't have the high school, we have 8 buildings, I believe, and they're organized in a certain fashion. Can you give us a thumbnail sketch of that?
Sure. So the way the elementaries are set up, they usually have 2 service lines. We offer what's on the daily menu on one line, and then the extra entrees that we also offer on a daily basis on the second line. So the kids are able to choose what they would like to have that day, so that we can try and save on our waste and making sure that the kids are getting what they want. We ask at the elementary level that they pre-order their entrees, which doesn't always work out smoothly. You eat with your eyes, and so when the kids get in the line, they see the chicken nuggets look extra good today. They change their mind, which is great. We try and pad the numbers a little, so that we make sure that we can accommodate for that. At the CIS building and middle school, those 2 buildings run off of the same menu. So the kids have a little bit more options. They have a little bit more hands-on. They can pick and choose. They can self-serve a lot of times, with their vegetables or their fruits. So those 2 buildings are a little more guessing at how many entrees to prepare that day. And then the high school runs similarly to that, but the high school definitely offers more variety. We have a lot more students at the high school, so we have 5 different lines that they can pick and choose from. We have a Subway type station where you can pick and choose what you'd like on a sandwich or a wrap. We have 2 lines that serve what's on the menu, and then we have a grill line that will serve, you know, your standards, the hot dogs or the hamburgers, or, you know, a daily special a lot of times is on the grill. So we try and offer the high school students more variety so that they don't get bored as easily.
So the students might opt for a full lunch, but a la carte. They could, if they just want a salad that day, or as you say, they want maybe a hamburger with the condiments, they can opt for that as well.
Sure, and let me go into that a little bit
Sure.
deeper, because I know that our community probably would like to know more information on that. So in order to be considered a reimbursable meal, the students need to pick at least 3 options out of 5 categories, which are a protein, a grain item, a fruit or a vegetable, and milk. Milk used to be a mandatory component of the meal. It is no longer mandatory for milk. The only thing that's a mandatory part of the meal is a fruit or a vegetable. Not both, one or the other. But as long as you pick one of those, a fruit or a vegetable, and 2 other items, that's considered a reimbursable meal. So we try to really encourage the kids to, you know, hey, do you want some fruit today? Would you like a vegetable? If they tell us no, we don't push too hard, but we always try to make sure that, you know, we are staying within those reimbursable meal guidelines.
I'm really surprised that milk isn't one of the, you know, it would have been inconceivable, of course, you know, a few generations ago, that you would have gone through and not gotten, of course, a lot of kids got the chocolate milk.
Sure.
And the white was certainly a possibility. And even later, strawberry came into play. But I'm just surprised that milk, was there a push by someone to eliminate that, or just the findings where kids weren't participating with that?
I think it was more the participation. And as we've all seen, you know, lately in the news and the media, dairy farmers are really struggling right now, and I can't help but think that, you know, that might be certainly a reaction to having milk not be a necessary component. But even at my own house, you know, when I was growing up, we would go through several gallons of milk in a week.
Right.
And at my own home, and with 3 children, we barely go through a gallon. And I just noticed that is a trend, I think, happening throughout the country, of milk is no longer one of the most popular beverages.
Right.
So,
Kelly, what about substitute cooks? You have, you know, again, illness going through, emergencies that people happen. Do you have a long list of substitutes that you could plug in at any one or various buildings?
Unfortunately, right now, we're really struggling with our substitutes. We have several within the community that are very consistent and help us out greatly. But for right now, I'm relying on employees and giving extra hours a lot of times in order to fill those positions. Right now, I'm personally filling in at Overlook Elementary as the manager, just because we don't have enough substitutes. So it really does cause a strain in our department for sure. We just this week, we've run only 1 line several days because we didn't have all 3 of the employees at that elementary. So it definitely takes a little bit longer to get the kids through. And luckily, they've had indoor recess this week, so it hasn't affected the kids too much. But not having the substitutes is really hurting us this year.
We did hear earlier in the show that really substitute bus drivers were concerned too. So if there's someone out there that's interested, and it wouldn't be an all-day assignment, how many hours would it be if you had an opening at Overlook? What hours would that constitute?
Yeah, we operate with 3 hours for our substitutes. It's usually between 10 and 1, and it's not every day, luckily.
Right.
And it's a pick and choose type system. So, you know, I try and reach out to my list of subs, and either you're available or you're not. There's no, there's no issues with saying no to me and saying you're busy that day. So yeah, I highly recommend if you're interested in signing up for our substitute program. And just subbing in the cafeteria is not the only option. You can request to sub as the transportation sub, the custodial subbing. You know, you can be on all 3 lists if you'd like.
I would imagine that certainly maybe if someone is watching the show, they could certainly take advantage of that and help you out at the same time.
Definitely.
We talked about the number of students eating lunch or a la carte items. What about presentation? Does that help kids make a decision? Oh, that looks good. And you say they sometimes change their mind, especially at the elementary. Does presentation mean a lot?
I absolutely think it does. My background is in the culinary arts. I graduated with a culinary degree, and I feel like presentation is one of the biggest factors in helping kids choose what they're eating that day. And I have worked really hard in retraining our kitchen staff to cook things a little bit closer to order. You know, not cooking everything at the beginning of the day and holding it in a hot box, but, you know, cooking a few orders to get you through and then re-cooking so that we're making sure that we're offering the best product available.
Because sometimes there's breaks. You might have a group. If I remember the middle school correctly, we did it by grade levels. The 7th grade would eat at a certain time, followed by the 8th grade, and there was always a little bit of gap in between, 5 or 10 minutes, and then the next crew came in. So that is a good idea to go ahead and have things fresh and looking good.
Definitely. You want your first customer and your last customer to receive the same product. So we're trying really hard to make sure that we're making that happen.
Okay, what about, what about the staff? Do they participate a great deal, and do they go through the a la carte item? And they wouldn't count on the 3-item list, would they?
No,
okay.
No. So an adult meal is not reimbursable at all.
Okay.
So we do have several adults that come through on a regular basis, and some that may not come through the cafeteria just so that they can, utilize their lunch break accordingly. But yes, we're highly encouraging to all of our adult staff to come and see what we're offering that day.
I would think with schedules and coaches and advisors with plays, et cetera, it would be easy for them to come in for lunch rather than taking time out to pack lunch and everything.
Sure.
And they can be big advocates for you too, telling the kids, boy, that was a great lunch today, wasn't it? And they can be helpful to the department as well.
Absolutely. And our new cash register system is very helpful. You can add money and use it like a debit account. So you don't even have to have cash every day or, write us a check all the time. So I think that really helps the teachers and the staff, and it speeds them through the line a lot easier.
I had to mention spring break because it's so cold today on Valentine's Day, but it's right around the corner, and we talked about the free and reduced lunch students, and then we just had holiday break, and then summer around the corner, right around the corner. Do we do anything for those kids that are on free or reduced during those off weeks or during the summer?
Right now, the community actually does more for those families than the district itself. Because we have such a low percentage of free and reduced, we don't currently offer meals for those kids, but the community does. There is a weekenders bag that goes home every week for those families that have signed up for food. And I know that the food banks and pantries around town are very, very helpful for those families in need.
Yeah, I think Archer Trinity, has been involved in that, and I just didn't know if that was in addition to anything the school would do. What about the time of the year? Do you see a lot less eating when the temperature goes up, maybe in April and May, or is that really a non-factor?
That's usually not too much of a factor. I feel as though we actually see an increase in meals during the end of the school year. And my own theory is people get sick of packing their lunches.
Yeah.
So they're ready to eat in the cafeteria, which we gladly accept.
What about the Medina County Health Department? Do they have any edicts or recommendations that you have to go through, and they check on your cleanliness and safety from time to time?
Absolutely. We are mandated by the state to have 2 inspections per building each school year.
Wow.
In order to stay in compliance. The health department definitely works closely with us. I receive emails, all the time if there's any kind of an outbreak, if there's anything that we need to be, really watching out for. And they are a great resource. I went to a training from the health department this year, just a refresher on, what we need to be working on, what we need to focus in on, and we work really closely together.
You stole my next question, Kelly. I said, do you get some ideas from other supervisors of food service or even your own staff with maybe implementing something, maybe a little tweak in something or something that might give more students a possibility to eating?
Oh, yes. So part of my training hours that I receive throughout the year, I definitely try and pick food shows. And also we have a membership called SAND, which is a food service director group that meets 4 times per year, and we all get together and we discuss, what are the kids eating at your school? What can I improve on? Or, just general here and there. What are your kids eating? What would you, what can I do differently to increase participation? So yeah, I try and definitely attend as many seminars and food shows as I can.
And sometimes it isn't a total switch to something else. It just may be a little tweak, a little nuance that you might do for food service.
Definitely. I know one of the questions, I might be skipping ahead a little, has to do with the commodity products that we receive. And a big emphasis for me is how can I make some of those commodity products in a different way so that the kids will accept it better. And a lot of the seminars that we attend directly affect that question right there, is how can we utilize more commodity products in different recipes, or with different spices or with different herbs to make the food more presentable, more acceptable.
I may be dating myself again, but I do remember when commodities, in fact, they always sometimes ask for volunteers to help bring items in, but peanut butter, chicken, cheese, bologna, bananas. The cooks would slice the bananas in half, and we get half of a banana. Are any of those things still commodities today by the federal? Is it get it from the federal government or the state?
Both. That's a great question. And right now we actually are members of a co-op, so I don't directly get foods from the state at this point. But what we do is, as the co-op, we take those pounds of chicken and we divert those pounds to different vendors. And so what we do then is, we may not all utilize the same exact chicken nugget, but we're allowed to choose from maybe a list of 15 different types of chicken. Okay, this is what my kids seem to like, this is what, their kids seem to like. So it's a much more friendly system instead of just getting your giant semi-truck full of American cheese and peanut butter. We have different options now that we divert those commodity dollars to.
Very cold day today, we mentioned before. How do you adjust for, maybe we don't have school for a couple days? I imagine you run to see what the weatherman is saying in regards to whether school is in session. And secondly, I heard last week that a couple schools in the Cleveland area had over 30% flu in their school, and especially elementaries, they closed. How do you make adjustments for those problems?
That is a great question. So in order to efficiently order enough food each day, I only get a truck twice a week. So I have to make sure that I'm ordering a few days ahead. So usually what happens if we're out of school is the menu, as you'll see on the bottom of each one, says it's subject to change. So a lot of times the food that we are supposed to have in 3 days is already here and we're just waiting to distribute it. So basically what we do is we just have to look ahead and say, oops, sorry guys, we're going to change this menu up so that we can still utilize the products that we currently have, and then maybe skip a few days to where I haven't purchased those products yet.
So kind of a balancing act, and you really have to look ahead, I guess what you indicated.
There is a lot of organization that goes into these school meals, that is for sure.
Kelly, I don't think you have a crystal ball to go ahead and tell you what the future is, but in 5 or 10 years, what a couple changes that might happen in food service?
So with the Healthy Hungry Kids Act, back when the Obamas were in the administration, there were definite steps that we were supposed to follow based upon years as to cutbacks on sodium and calories and fat again. And with the current USDA president, Sonny Perdue, he's trying to kind of tweak those a little bit, because we're finding that the huge decrease in sodium or the huge decrease in calories, the kids aren't accepting those foods as well as what you might think, because those are not everyday foods stocked in the grocery store as well. So Mr. Perdue is helping us by saying, okay, we know the kids have accepted level 1, so let's just kind of stay at level 1, which is still a stricter diet than the American Heart Association. So the kids are definitely receiving less sodium than any other diet out there. So in the future, I'm hoping that we can still utilize the products that we're given through the government and keep tweaking those diets and keep getting kids hooked on fresh fruits and vegetables.
Kelly Gnap, thank you for an insight on food service and the many nuances that you're involved in. And thanks for viewing Bruce on the Loose.